Hello and welcome back to Tyre Talk. We've just watched the Dutch Grand Prix. Max has officially equaled the record for the most race wins in a row, which is 9. I mean, it's just crazy. But first, how are you guys doing? Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm happy to be back on the podcast. You missed me on the mid-season awards,
Yes, it's been a
so
while. What do you think of our mid-season awards?
I thought they were good. I thought you were dressed really well. That's the
Thank
thing
you,
I took
thank
away
you.
from it. And
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
good
that's the
stuff,
main
lads.
thing. Okay, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Going away next weekend, so I'm happy about that. Then back, hopefully, maybe next weekend or we're back. Maybe after next week, we're back in the studio. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, so we
So
are going back. We're going to be back together again. It's been a long time, but we're going to be back in the studio. Hopefully, audio quality and whatever will be back up. I'm doing fantastically because we won yesterday out of absolutely nowhere. Darwizzy came out and scored 2 goals and won us the game, and we had a fantastic Dutch Grand Prix, which I actually didn't get to watch, but getting up in the highlights and the press conference stuff has been really interesting.
it was
So shall we just?
fantastic at the start
Yeah,
and at the end. In the middle, it was a bit boring.
I mean, we did see some fantastic overtakes sort of all over the shop though, really. But should we dive straight in and just talk about Max Verstappen? Should we just get out of the way straight away?
yeah.
I mean, what a performance, Dan. Do you want to start off?
I don't really know what to say about him anymore. We've listed every, he's broke the record, and like I say, we talk about him every week how good he is. This week, the pressure on him, home race, didn't seem to bother him at all. Whether chucked everything at him as well, that didn't seem to bother him. I just don't know what else we can really talk about him at this point.
Yeah.
He's just amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the press conference after, and Alonso was talking about how there are so many small details that can go wrong for a driver and just for any sort of sports achievement. There are so many things that can go wrong, and for Max to manage every single one, there were so many drivers making mistakes, including Perez in the same car, and I think it's very easy to forget the fact that Max is just flawless. He literally did not put, other than possibly pushing Gasly wide in the early stages of the race when he overtook him. Other than that, I mean, he was absolutely impeccable. And for me, it is just brilliant to watch. Matt, you were saying before we started recording that it's sort of getting a bit boring for you.
It's boring, like because he's just different, Grave. He's just like when he pitted for intermediates, Perez was 11 seconds ahead of him, even probably even more. And like within like 4 laps, he overtook him. It's like it's just Perez in the same car as him, and he's catched him like going like 4 seconds quicker than him a lap. It's just unbelievable. But it's easy to not make mistakes when there's no one in front of you.
Well, you say that, but it's the little things, though, isn't it? Because like when Perez came into pit, he didn't slow the car down properly and hit a wall, and then obviously because he couldn't slow down properly, he was speeding, which then caused the 5 second penalty for him. But you don't see Max making even the slightest of mistakes. But even then, he didn't just have to just drive right in front. He did have to go past a few people and make a few overtakes.
Yeah, and he's
Um,
like a safety car, red flag. So we still had people getting him, but like London said, didn't he? In the after the race, he said, "I was gonna go for a little overtake on Max, and I thought, nah, I won't be able to get out of the circuit." But
yeah,
nah, Max is just different. I think Dan's loving it.
yeah.
Bit boring, don't get me wrong,
Yeah, I'm ready for a new winner
but
now.
but
I want him to break the record first. I want him to get 10,
No,
and
yeah,
then if we
yeah,
get a new winner, then. But to get so close to not actually get the record to break the record. Sorry, especially when he's been so good. He's really deserved it. I thought.
yeah.
I was gonna ask actually. So you guys spoke, I think, a couple of weeks ago about where it would stand if Red Bull won every race this season. Where would that stand in terms of the greatest sporting achievements of all time? And so I want to repose the question to you right now as it is. Where does Max Verstappen winning 9 races in a row stand in terms of the greatest sporting achievements of all
in,
time?
in
Is it even up
into
there?
the, I don't think it's top five,
Okay.
only because like you never really hit. How many times did you hear Vettel in the past years? You don't, do you? But you're there like about like Messi winning so many Ballon d'Ors in a row and all this. I think to F1 fans, it's top five, but in the whole worldwide sport, I don't think it hits top five.
All right, Dan. What do you think?
I think it's a bit controversial, but I think Max's 9 is probably a bit more impressive than Seb's as it is already, because like you've got a few drives from further down on the grid, which Seb never did. Most of his were from pole, and like I say, you've got Max in Belgium coming back, and just like the manner of which he's doing it, he doesn't look like when Seb was winning. Like you always thought, Alonso could win a race. There's no feeling that anyone but Max is going to win every week.
Does that not argue? Does that not fight for Vettel's being better though? The fact that there
Yeah,
are
because
other
he
people
has
that you think could win
competition.
more
Yeah,
competition.
but Max, yeah, the car is better, but like there's because he's so good. Like that's why I feel like it's better because there is no like competition. There's no one as good as him at the moment, which is why he's so good.
Yeah, I do think though that does sort of go both ways. And
Yeah,
speaking of his competition, should we talk about Ferrari just Ferrarying all over Zandvoort? It was
No,
everywhere.
I'm gonna stick up Ferrari. Yeah, on like, is it Bernie Collins? She
yeah.
said that pit stop where they didn't have the wheels ready for him. He said he's coming in for the pit halfway down the pit lane.
I thought they called him in.
No. He called himself
No.
in. He said, "I'm coming in.
Even still,
I'm
though,
pitting."
even still,
As he was stopping, like Joe, you got to slow down.
Mm,
And so obviously, what and where are they, like third in the pit lane, fourth in the pit
yeah.
lane? So they're quite close. So to have get the tires out the blanket and be that quick in time, it's impossible. So Ferrari, it weren't their fault. It was half Leclerc's fault because he called it a bit too late.
I'm going to argue against Ferrari. Yeah,
Go on.
because well, they have eyes; they can see it's raining, so get the
Mm,
tires ready.
Yeah,
And also,
that's also the point.
they spent 10 seconds looking at Leclerc's front wing. They could see it was missing an end plate, and they didn't change it, and they let him back out with a broken front wing. Why did they do that?
yeah,
Maybe they
I
wanted
agree
him to
with Dan. I think
get a bit
I
further up
think
the
he
track before they take it.
maybe, but
But it's
I agree with Dan. I think that whether you know whether your driver's coming in or not. I mean, because it was the rain was worse on the start finish straight. That's where the rain was the worst on the whole track. So you think if anything, they'd have the wheels ready and the car might go past. Like they might not come into pit lane. It should never be the case that. I mean, okay, fine. Even if we're going to say that Leclerc should have told them earlier, they still should have been ready. But still, Leclerc not telling them that he's coming in is a big tactical error. That is a big
no,
mistake
I
from him.
agree. They
That
should
is a Ferrari issue.
like, do you see everyone else pitting for intermediates? They should have the tires there ready. But
Mm,
it's to be like, I know pit stops are so quick, but to get like the tires and run around, it'd be impossible to be that quick. But what I want to know is, when will Ferrari stop being Ferrari and start being a world class team again? Because last season
mm.
they were all over the shop again. This season, all over the shop. What's the problem? Because they've got two world class drivers, probably arguably both future champions, but one's probably more of a future champion. But
Yeah,
when will it stop?
I think for me, I think obviously this might sound just like plain and stupid, but the problem starts at the car. If they had a much faster car that could compete with the front runners, they wouldn't have to be in these situations
Well,
where
they
they're
did.
worrying
They did
about.
last season.
They're not. I mean, it didn't really like it
Last season at the
was.
start, everyone thought, "Oh, this is a battle with Leclerc and
Yeah,
Verstappen here," and he just
exactly. But at the
fell
start,
off.
when the car could compete, even when it wasn't having engine issues, sorry, they were winning races. Leclerc had a big lead on Verstappen at one point. I think what was it, after 2 or 3 races, he was like 40 or 50 points ahead, and then suddenly the car wasn't as developed, and Red Bull were much were catching up, and the reliability was sorted out, and then they're back in the thick of it, and they just can't seem to handle it.
It's just I like to see Ferrari back up there fighting because they are probably the most well-known team in the sport.
Yeah, Ferrari are F1. You know,
But Dan,
they are
as the
royalty.
brains in this trio, what are your thoughts on Ferrari? When will they stop messing
It's
everything up?
hard. There's so much pressure on them, isn't there? Because they're Ferrari. And I was just thinking while you're talking then, like Leclerc's DNF'd again this week. Sainz was fifth, but he was obviously slower than the cars behind him. They're going to Monza this week. If they put in another performance like that at home, they are going to get absolutely slaughtered. And like I say, there's so much more pressure on them than any other team. The Italian media are straight on them every time it goes wrong. And they've got like it doesn't help when you've got a perception of being clowns, does it? Like you've seen the memes floating around. That can't be like good for the team morale because every time something does go wrong, there's the extra emphasis on it. And I don't know what's wrong with like Ferrari in general, like because you look at the drivers are good, aren't they? We know that
Mm.
they've shown last year they're capable of building a race winning car. They can do it. Like I say, I don't know. It just won't come together for them for some reason. Maybe like behind the scenes, that's something Red has got to sort out.
They've
But
changed the
like I say, it's
team
got to turn
principal as well.
around. Yeah.
It's
Do we
just
think that Ferrari are now the fifth fastest car on the grid? Do we have Alpine outdeveloped them over the summer break?
no.
Nah.
No.
I
Okay.
think
Nah.
that race yesterday for Leclerc was just if they didn't have all the problems, tires, front wing, I think he would have been up there. But
I'm not talking about Leclerc
just
though. I mean, Sainz was gapped by Pierre Gasly in Alpine in
yeah,
the rain.
Gasly deserved that podium though. He was
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying he
unbelievable.
didn't,
But I think it's too early
but
to
that car
say.
was faster.
It's too early to say because it's only been one race since the
Yeah.
summer break, and what that race had everything. It had 5 different weathers. It had every single flag. It had everything. So
Yeah.
it's a bit
It
early
was
to
it was a
say.
perfect storm, wasn't it, for a midfield podium?
Yeah, it's early to say who's better, Alpine or Ferrari. I'm still gonna say Ferrari because
The fact we're even having this conversation is ridiculous.
I
Because
know.
it's
like
far too early.
That's more why I asked the question because I think it's getting to the point where they just like it's just embarrassing. You know, Leclerc just having endless issues, and we know how fun, you know, how mercurial of a driver he is. And Carlos Sainz, I think, is one of the most consistent drivers on the grid, and he's getting gapped by an Alpine that was having, you know, point scoring issues not too long ago. I just sort of it's very worrying. But one team who have definitely come back from being slightly less phenomenal than they were at the start of the season is Aston Martin, and mainly Fernando Alonso. Because in
just
what
Fernando
continent?
Alonso.
Yeah, in what continent was Lance Stroll in yesterday? Because I'm not even sure he was in the Netherlands. But Fernando Alonso, what a drive!
He was amazing, wasn't he? Them overtakes, like especially on like everyone will go on about the one on the carousel on Russell, but on Lando when it's absolutely tipping it down, to have the balls to go around the outside of a track as narrow as Zandvoort, felt like he's just so good. And every week, like I always like he surprises you, doesn't like just how good he is still.
I mean,
It's good to see him back on the podium. Missed
Yeah,
it.
it is. And he did say what he said. What was it after Monaco that they were gonna the run of not getting on the podium was gonna end there. And it wasn't quite right, but they've definitely come back a lot faster than I expected as well.
He was so happy as well to see him on the podium,
Mm. Oh,
even
he
though
was
yeah,
beaming.
he's a world champion and he just got second place and he's buzzing about it. I'm like, do you know what?
He's had a rough what 15 wait I mean nearly 20 years since he last wait nearly 20 years since he last won a world championship. That's
yeah.
crazy. But he's had
But
a
fair
very
play to him.
rough time of it.
It's good to have like someone like down the grid just absolutely showing his experience off.
He's infectious, isn't he? Like you can't help but be
Yeah.
happy for him.
Yeah.
Well, fair play to him.
Yeah.
But
And
I just
I
want to
thought
say,
Williams had a
yeah,
oh, sorry, go on, you
no,
go first.
that I was
Was
going
that
to say Williams in qualifying, by the way. Logan Sargent in Q3.
What a
What a guy! What a guy!
well done, Logan. What a
What
lad.
a
what
did
All
performance?
I'm
cash out
saying,
in the race, like, but that doesn't matter.
that wasn't his fault. Wasn't his
And he
fault.
didn't,
Yeah,
and he,
they had
and he was just
hydraulic problems, was it?
and what he was just chilling
Yeah.
at turn 8 for the whole race to the red flag. What a guy!
Yeah,
But Alex Albon, P4 qualified P4. Unbelievable. And
Yeah, he said
in a Williams, by the way.
he said that the Williams felt the best it's felt since he's been driving the Williams car this weekend. Which sounds good, and we know how fast it is in a straight. So if they can sort out the well, I mean, I suppose maybe they have sorted out the cornering speed, because having two cars in Q3 when in a season when the midfield especially is pretty tight together, it's a pretty good achievement, I think.
And he got P8 in the race,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
also Williams were disappointed with, which shows how much
Yeah.
like they're not in the bottom battle no more, really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they're clear of the bottom three now, aren't they? I think.
I just think
Yeah.
Sargent just needs to get a point on his belt, and then he's flying them.
Well. We know what's next, don't we? Straight line, Monza.
Yeah.
Williams should, in theory, be really good there. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the Sargent points.
Fly.
I'm feeling a Verstappen Perez Albon podium. I can't lie. I'm feeling it in my bones.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. Who's overtaking that Williams in a straight line? Who?
Rebel.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're in front of him. No one else is getting past it.
I think it'd be
Albon
very
can
interesting.
make a car very wide on his own anyway.
Yeah, but do you really think that Albon, do you think that car's fast enough in the corners to put it high up in qualifying though? Well, and to stay close enough to cars.
In qualifying, yeah. In race, no.
Zandvoort is corners, and he qualified fourth. Monza is a straight line, and he could get on pole in Monza.
There's a lot of medium sort of medium speed corners at Zandvoort. I'm trying to think there. Obviously, there's a couple of very slow ones, but I feel like there's a lot of them that are sort of sweeping bends and stuff. Whereas
it's a
Monza,
flow, though,
you've
isn't
got
it?
a couple of proper chicanes.
It's like a circle.
Yeah.
But boys, can I just say, shout out to them fans, by the way. Unbelievable.
Oh, they're good, aren't they?
It was
they always are,
down, and they were just dancing unbelievable.
And they had to obviously sit through the red flags as well.
It's so good. But boys, can I just say, Liam Lawson, his F1 debut, yeah, and he threw everything at him, everything, and guess what? He finished the race.
He smashed it in front of Yuki. Yes, he had a penalty, Yuki, but that's besides the point.
But
he finished 13th.
Fair play to him.
Well done, Liam.
And obviously he replaced Irish because he broke his hand. And is he racing in Monza? Yeah.
Yeah, they've put out a tweet saying that he'll be in the car until Daniel Ricciardo's fit again. So I don't know how long that's going to be. He might get the race after Monza as well. Fingers crossed.
Will he get the seat after the season?
My guess would be
some people argue that he should already be in F1.
He should be already in F1.
I think that giving Ricciardo the seat for the rest of this season made sense. And I'll stand by that no matter how badly he inevitably does when he comes back. Largely from a, the season's gone sort of standpoint, which is probably a bit, depressing and giving up, but whatever. And I think it also, like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, it definitely gives Yuki the comparison. But in the opposite sort of way, I think it is also very good that Liam Lawson's got a chance now. Because I think already it's looking, I mean, even if he has a completely average season from here on out, it looks like he's going to get that seat. And he probably would have done anyway over Ricciardo. Unless Ricciardo did really well, of course, but was he ever? I don't know. But yeah, it looks good for Liam Lawson, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's good for him as well because in F2 it doesn't look like there's anyone really ready to step up. I don't know if you watched the F2 race, but there was some horrendous driving going on.
Yeah,
from everyone in the top order. Clement Novalak won. That's how bad everyone else drove.
Yeah.
So I can't see a world where Red Bull aren't going to be promoting any of their juniors this year. So it's pretty much an open fire seat for Ricciardo or Lawson. They haven't got any other competition, I don't think.
Oh, he's such a nice guy as well. He's so nice.
Is he Australian?
Nah, New Zealand, isn't he?
New Zealand. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to take you back to Albon quickly because surely Albon is too good to stay at Williams next season.
But where would he go?
But I know.
Where's room for him?
It feels like surely. I mean, obviously, this is never ever going to happen in any universe ever. But if Stroll was to leave
Aston
Aston Martin,
Martin.
yeah,
Yeah.
if
Stroll is
Albon could
never,
get
ever,
in,
ever going to leave that.
it's such a shame because Albon would
You're looking at it now, though,
cook
aren't you?
Aston Martin. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a screenshot of the obviously the race results with Alonso in second and Stroll right down the bottom, outside the points in 11th in the same car. And Alonso looked so good, and I do think Stroll is a good driver. He's obviously good enough to be in F1. But where like just
Nah, but no, but you can't. It was a hard race. You know what I mean? It was
yeah, but
It's
like
every week, though.
in the opening laps.
it's every
I was
single
so
week.
confused.
Look
I
at
was
Yeah,
like,
look at the
I was
point
like, what's going
standings
on?
on the gap between Alonso and Stroll is ridiculous.
mm. But
No, it
it's
is.
like
I agree.
it's
Shouldn't
not
be
even
there.
like that. It's not even like he's just a bit below. Alonso's just got second place, and he looked comfortable. Like it wasn't just like really fortunate. He deserved to be up in second place, and he arguably challenging for the win. Obviously, you know it's Max, so he was never really. But Stroll outside the point, 17 seconds behind after by the end of the race. Obviously, is a bit marred by the race restart and all that, but
Yeah, but he got red
that is
flagged and he
so
was that
far
far
off.
behind already as well.
Yeah, it's just sort of like it. There's so much potential in that seat, and it feels like it's such a waste because Stroll's a good driver, but he clearly isn't good enough for this car.
He's not a top 5 team driver.
No, it seems not. I mean, there was always the chance he could have been though, because he got podiums in the Force India, and and was it Turkey? He got pole a couple of years ago. He's definitely shown
But
sparks that he can be
realistically,
a
yeah,
fantastic
would it
driver.
be in the sport if his dad didn't own the team?
I think
No,
he would have been. Yeah, I think he would have been.
no,
I think
no,
he
he's
would have
not.
been, but he wouldn't be now. I think he would be
Yeah,
out. But I think he would have had a chance. I think he's coming in. He has still put in some good performances. I don't think he's good enough to still be here, or possibly in a lower team. But that's the thing with Formula One. It's so hard. There are so many drivers.
Who do you think is worse than him on the grid currently?
Let me just get up a list. I
Uh,
think he's better.
Magnussen,
I think he's better than Magnussen. I think he's better than
Sargent,
Sergeant Bottas right now.
Hulkenberg, I'll say as well.
Possibly Guan Yu Zhou.
Yeah.
So he's better than two rookies and two people who are about to retire, and that's it. He's in the
Well,
prime. He's
Bottas.
supposed to be in the prime of his
They've just
career.
signed
Yeah,
on them. They're racing next season for Haas.
Yeah, but they're past the better end of their career,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're past the peak.
but they're all Hulkenberg and Magnussen are also drivers who've proven their worth in the past, and Bottas, and they're all very experienced drivers with undoubtable quality.
Stroll's in his 8th year. He's experienced.
No, I'll say. Joe? Did you say Bottas is worse than him?
I think he's.
No.
I think if
He's
they're
got
in
a
the same
bad
car
car.
this
That's why.
season, he would have beaten. I think if they're in the same car this season, Stroll.
No,
It's
Bottas
so
would have.
hard to
Well,
say. That's the thing.
Bottas would have beat him
Mate,
because
Bottas is
Bottas
getting.
is.
Is he not getting destroyed by?
He's an awful
No,
car.
he's beating him in points, but
Okay,
it's like I say,
but
it's closer
He's
than it
beating
should
him
be.
by 1 point. And Guan Yu Zhou's, and I think Guan Yu Zhou's got. I don't know. It is very hard to say. I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating him, and I don't think Stroll would. I think obviously if his dad wasn't in the sport, Stroll wouldn't be in this year. But that's not really like my point. Is more that he would have been good enough to get in the first place. He probably wouldn't have hung around for long, but I think he's shown that not many drivers who not many drivers get um, significant results like podiums in F1 who shouldn't be there, and he is one of them. And I think you've got to give him respect for that. He is a good driver. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm not trying to say he's one of the best drivers to have ever come to the sport, and he's unlucky and I do think he's been terrible this year, but I think it's disrespectful to not disrespect. Yeah, I think it's possibly a bit naive to suggest that he wouldn't have ever been in the sport ever anyway. I
No
don't
one
know.
said that.
I know, but do you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people are thinking that just it's almost like a bit of a scapegoat. The fact that his dad's rich, oh, that's the only reason he's in the sport. No, he is still a good driver.
But
You know,
he wouldn't be in it now if his dad didn't own the team.
I think he would have
He
got dropped
definitely,
last year.
yeah, he definitely would have been dropped. He definitely would be dropped at the end of this year, at the
Yeah.
very least. I'm trying to. I've forgotten a lot about the past few seasons already, but sort of mid-table stuff. But the likelihood is, yeah, he would not be in now.
Bold statement. He was better than Perez in the racing point.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Didn't Perez win like a race from like 20th or something last season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. Abu Dhabi is the ghost win for George Russell, wasn't it? But he was in. He qualified like middle of the pack and then got spun around turn one, and then
Wasn't that the
fought his
season
way
that got
back.
him signed for Red Bull?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because he
didn't
was
have
going
a
to get
contract.
dropped. He got dropped for Vettel,
Yeah,
didn't
which is crazy. Like the fact that the thought that he could possibly have been out of contract after that. I can't remember the exact wording, but the commentary of him standing on top of the podium like this with them saying the thought that he might not have a contract for next season is just wild. And it was.
Yeah.
It was. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through our predictions for the next Grand Prix, which is Monza. And it's next weekend, right? We don't have to wait 2 weeks again, do we? Beautiful. It's
this
next
week.
weekend. This week, yeah. So we're going to do a top five. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, go on. Tell us your top
So
five
what is it?
from fifth to
Fifth to
first.
first.
Yeah.
Hamilton,
Okay.
Norris, Piastri, Perez, Verstappen.
Very nice. Very nice. Dan, what you saying?
First podium for Piastri.
Yeah.
I've got Hamilton 5th, Leclerc 4th,
Okay.
Alex Albon P3,
Oh, bloody hell.
and Checo 2nd and Max 1st.
I reckon
Okay,
first
well,
Esteban Ocon. Shout.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised that we've all got Hamilton in fifth because I've got Hamilton fifth as well. I've then got Alonso in fourth, Lando in third, and then Perez second and Max in first. So that's interesting. We've all got Hamilton. I sort of the teams. Pardon me. The teams are just like so close. I do think it's like drawing names out of a hat for who's going from third to sort of eighth. Could literally be
Yeah.
anyone in terms of sort of the top, well, from second to sort of fifth best team. Possibly excluding Alpine, but even then, like we saw this weekend, they can just pop up out of nowhere, can't they?
Which is why Albon will be 3rd.
He's
Yeah,
probably
well,
third in qualifying, yeah. Not in the race.
do you actually think
No.
he'll get third in qualifying?
No, I reckon realistically, I'm just gonna say 7th.
Okay, yeah, I can see that because I think we'll get. Well, I think this is a good place where the Williams can get two cars back into Q3 again.
Is this qualifying normal?
Yeah,
Like
believe it. So.
like there's no
It's not
No
a sprint
sprint
race,
or
no.
anything. No.
yeah. There's no
Um,
like soft, medium, hard or
no.
Nope.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you very much for watching. That is our Grand Prix review of the Dutch Grand Prix, which took place this weekend, and also we look forward to the Italian Grand Prix and Monza next weekend. Let us know what you think in the thoughts down below of our predictions and of what we thought of the race. Let us know what you thought, and we will see you hopefully next week for our Monza Grand Prix review.